to pretty consistently, and so let's trade that. Even for a lower, one of our lowest rated cash channels, it's still more to the bottom line than giving a room to somebody who's just kind of break even. Distribution manager, one of the things that takes up a lot of time, and I love it, I sit right next door to our director of distribution, but that means, so distribution essentially is who sells the Cosmopolitan besides us directly. We work with a ton of partners. Expedia is the monster in the OTA world, but you've got Southwest Vacations and WestJet out of Canada. I mean, we work with lots of partners who sell rooms for us, and so we have to manage those relationships and then figure out how we leverage distribution. We are also worried about channel costs. Each of those partners take a little bit from us when they sell rooms, and that's why I say we make the most money when people book with us directly. So just book direct, that's my message. A collaborator and a partner. I actually have seen some people in my career be really, really smart at revenue management. Actually, some people that I've worked with at the Cosmopolitan in the past, and they weren't the best in collaborative situations. And so who does better, right? Somebody who's going to be a good partner, or somebody who's like, oh, I'm the smartest person in the room. You got to listen to me, right? Like, maybe some meetings I'm the smartest person in the room, which if that's the case, then that's scary. But, you know, you have to be a good partner, and you have to work with people to kind of move things along and gain alignment, and that really is important. Demand stimulator, so the forecast that we do in revenue management goes out through the entire organization. And so we're doing a forecast typically at least 3, sometimes 4 to 5 months out. And so if we've got occupancy gaps or needs where we have to figure out how to create additional demand, you know, I don't wave a magic wand and find the demand. We have to work really hard to do that. So it's working with you know, Mamie, who runs our online and digital strategy, and so we're you know, can we be smarter about what we're doing? Can we shift some of our ad spend online to gain more share? Can we steal share from our competition? That's my favorite thing to do. And working with distribution and making sure that we're leveraging any of those channels to stimulate demand. And then this last one is kind of this idea of gatekeeper or mediator or peacemaker. We find ourselves kind of the one impartial body in the building. You know, sales has their agenda, the casino has their own agenda. You know, Erin, who I work with very closely, she manages her OTA. She wants them to be successful. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm super proud of everybody that I work with at the Cosmopolitan. Everyone's focus is certainly on the bottom line. I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. But revenue management is really the group who's going to say, this piece of business is better than this piece of business. And we're respected throughout the organization because we've earned that. But people come to us and say, help us figure out the best use of rooms. And in a lot of those conversations, we're actually guiding it. So a great example of that is that if we have a really large piece of group business, but they're only staying 3 nights instead of 2, checking out on a Wednesday, and instead of leaving us with 1 night that's a little bit soft, it's going to dent us for 2 nights, I work with the slot department and I say, you know what, why don't you do a lower end slot tournament? Invite your customers Wednesday, Thursday. They never get comp rooms at the Cosmopolitan when we go down that low. Do a slot tournament. Maybe you'll get a couple hundred rooms. We'll get people in the hotel, and it kind of smooths that occupancy hurdle. And so those are the conversations that we're having. All that make sense? Yeah?
Colleen?
Yeah.
So as you segment the different areas, is there any attention, do you want to grow one? You said you had 20% cable of casino. Are you trying to grow that? And taking into consideration what you guys did at the top 4 floors of the
Oh yeah, so the history that's happened in the last year, actually they're 1 year old now, but the top 4 floors of the Cosmopolitan were shelled off when we first came to market, and we've just completed 21 amazing penthouses. And so that allows us to play in a casino space that we really couldn't compete with our competitors prior. And so we can offer somebody a 4,000 square foot suite. We have a private salon up on the 71st floor. It is really an elegant way to come and spend your time at the Cosmopolitan. So I would say that we would absolutely grow 20%, but it needs to be of the very best customers. I wouldn't go back to running, to me, to set an arbitrary, I want to get to 23%. Well, I could get to 23% tomorrow by sending out an offer for free rooms to the wrong people, and we get to 23, but that doesn't make us more money, right? So we'll grow casino, but we want to grow it with the right customers. The mix shift that we continue to try to do every single year is how can we do fewer rooms through our OTAs, our online travel agencies, and do more at cosmopolitanlasvegas.com. Yeah.
So what are some of the strategies that you use to have people incentivize them to book because of the problem of rate parity?
Yeah, rate parity is a big deal. And system interfaces are not perfect, and there's latency that happens when we do a rate change on our system, and it maybe takes a while to go out to some of our partners. And so for us, we try to, we did a couple things this year that were, and I won't do it because this class is too large, you might blow Rose up, but has anyone heard of Rose at the Cosmopolitan? Cheaters. You have.
Rose Rabbit Life, is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about?
Oh, no, but close. But Rose was named after Rose Redlight. So one of the things that we did, we had a conversation about 18 months ago and said, what can we do as a group, and what's a strategy on how we can move people away from, we always use Expedia as the kind of the example, but they're the big one, and they bought Orbitz and then they snatched up Travelocity, so they're all the same now. So we said, how can we get people to book with us directly? So we worked with an agency, a digital agency, to come up with a chatbot, and so her name is Rose. And so Rose, when she first launched at the Cosmopolitan, was specifically introduced to people who were checking in that were Expedia guests. They were our first kind of segment that we toyed with. And what we wanted to do in that conversation is say, introduce you to Rose. She can help you with anything while you're here at the resort this weekend. She can either help you with reservations when you get back home, and then we were increasing an engagement with those guests. And we have some really neat data that shows that people who exchange texts back and forth at least 3 times with Rose will spend more money on property. They tend to make more stops on property because she's offering suggestions. And so for us, that was an attempt to own the relationship, personal relationship with the customer, and help them just make them basically fall in love so much with the Cosmopolitan. They're like, Expedia, who? So I think it's working. It's one of the things. Marketing spend, digital marketing spend is another one. And we'll never be able to compete, or at least not yet, with Expedia when somebody wants to buy airfare from Chicago for 2 people and 3 nights in Las Vegas, because today I don't sell airfare on our site directly. We actually are working on that though. I saw another hand.
Is the biggest segment right now the Cosmopolitan transient guests?
So transient rooms all in are about 450,000 room nights a year. So all transient, but online travel agencies do a larger number of room nights a year than our .com does. So I would be happy if that was the other way around. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I just checked your website right now that you are just member of autograph collection.
We
which
are.
is a property of Marriott.
Yeah.
Do you use the Marriott systems?
No.
But autograph collection, you have an agreement with an autograph collection.
We do.
You do, but I think autograph is like other part of the globe. They are using the Marriott.
Yeah.
Provides, the
No.
systems.
So it's a big deal for us. Let me explain. So when the Cosmopolitan opened in 2010, we were a brand new hotel. We were opening. We were up against. You guys are keeping me honest with time. We're over. If you guys get up and walk out, I will be highly offended. Just kidding. They are a distribution channel for the Cosmopolitan, so we're proud to be an Autograph member. We do about 90,000 room nights a year through Marriott.com. Marriott.com is the engine behind Autograph.com, and so that's really. And then they also are very, very a large contributor to us on the group lead standpoint. So Marriott, it's a very healthy relationship. We just don't use their systems. So we have an interface. So our property management system sends rates and availability out, and their reservation system sends us back names to reservations.
You are using Opera or Genesis?
Agilicis.
Genesis.
Yeah. Why do you ask? What's your agenda?
I
work for
I also one more question. On the website right now.
Yeah.
It's the owner of the Cosmopolitan is Blackstone Group, and the Blackstone Group also owns the Hilton.
They do. Isn't that crazy? So
Yeah,
when
it
they
is.
bought us in December of 2014, so many of us were like, whoa, how fast is Marriott getting out of here and Hilton coming in? And they evaluated the business. It's a good deal for the Cosmopolitan. So, not yet. We can always, that's something that we can always plug and unplug. And I think Marriott knows that we can unplug it. So they're good partners to us. Thank you for your question. Let me just go through this slide really quickly. So here's the thing. So there's two paths in. You might want to say, like, how do I get started? And so the way I got started, I am an operator. I'm the bottom one. I'm an operator who understands revenue management. Now, you could be a revenue manager that understands operations. I would tell you that for me, I feel like I got to where I am because I came up through operations. I started at the front desk. I spent 14 months in housekeeping. I went to reservations, which is where I was first exposed to what I'm doing today on a much more unsophisticated level. I laugh about kind of how silly it was at that time. But I'm proud of those experiences, and my time at the front desk and reservations and even housekeeping today sometimes comes into play in terms of conversations we're having or maybe shifts that we want to make or operational changes, and I can put that hat back on, and then I'm working with peers who know that background about me, and we can have a conversation that's mutually respectable. Now, it doesn't mean that if you studied revenue management and came in with just hardcore concept and theory revenue management that would be bad, but I think until you've spent some time in an operating department or two